Hello everyone, not sure if you can hear me.
I can hear you from my side. Morning.
Okay, well that's a good start. Um, Good afternoon, my name's Victoria. I am more than happy to help facilitate the event for you this afternoon. Logistically, I'm not quite sure how we'll tackle this. We originally had a set of 8 questions which are designed to facilitate a discussion really for you all. But I'm more than happy if you'd like me just to read one question out, and then I'll open the floor for yourself to have an open discussion if that is what people would like. Just let me know. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank
That's great, thank you.
So is there a session in here now?
Well, technically there is, yes. Discussion about 27566 part
Part
3.
three? Yeah. Is there anyone
We've
else?
had lots of people come and go, and I think predominantly online. So several people have joined and then left because I think they felt maybe there wasn't enough people to enable a meaningful discussion. We've had one or two people turn up in person who then left because there was nobody here when they came in. So it's been a bit.
This has been kind of a logistical problem here, is that
Yeah.
because the sessions have all started at different times. When people
Absolutely. There's a crossover, isn't there?
talk.
So
Yeah.
we have this individual
Oh, okay.
online. And yourself, sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So
So
I'm
if you-
Mark. So I don't know if this person wants to talk about this or not. Otherwise, I think we'll just.
Another colleague, Antoine, I think I'm not sure what his surname is, mentioned that you might be covering this as a separate session somewhere elsewhere anyway. That's what he's
That's
hoping.
probably the case. Yes.
Yeah, so.
But that would only be open to ISO delegates.
Oh, so no, that's
So
not.
if you're part of the community, this would have been your opportunity, but for the various ISO experts who would have.
Oh, okay. But for other representatives who maybe wanted to
Yeah.
have a discussion about it, this was the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, well, yeah, the timing of this has just not been great. It's weird.
It's entirely up to you, Mark. Sorry. Hello. Would you like to have a discussion? I have Mark here, who's a representative from.
Oh, I'm an ISO from the US delegation.
Only an ISO from the US delegation. So if you did want to have a conversation, feel free. We've got some sort of questions that we'd like to cover, but I appreciate time is possibly against us. But even if we just cover one or two aspects.
Are there any,
Yes, Libby, I have a pack here for you. Oops.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Have you had sight of that before?
No, but I've had sight of the corresponding papers for the other sessions.
Might be sensible to sit up here next to the laptop.
Yeah,
So I think you're in a good spot there. Yes, feel free.
I mean, I hate to be just talking to myself. I suppose this is being recorded, right?
It is. Everything is being recorded in the room for the session. We can mute and unmute, but everything is being recorded.
Okay, well then perhaps it's not unhelpful for me to talk. Part 3 is intended to cover interoperability, technical architecture, and guidelines for use. Consideration needs to be given regarding the helpful material about being too prescriptive and thus constraining innovation and creativity. So I think that last statement is more true for the framework. Now that we're talking about interoperability, I think that I don't think that we can be too prescriptive, honestly. So, I mean, as a general statement. So how could international standards for age assurance strike a balance between a high-level framework and offering detailed guidance on interoperability? Don't understand the question.
Thanks. I think whoever this is has left.
Yeah, they left. It is quiet from my side, yeah.
Well, I think that's because it was quiet in here. But if you feel this is still an opportunity for you to contribute, and if you have any sort of relevant points you want to put in answer to these questions, if you could pop them on here, and they will be fed back through.
Oh,
so
I
it's
see.
it's
Okay.
going to be constructive. If it's your opinion, you feel free to write it down.
Yeah.
Absolutely, go for it.
Sure.
The floor is yours, as they say.
Okay, Q2.
And at least I can.
I think Q1 needs to be a conversation, and I'm not going to respond to it. Just,
No, you put on whatever you fancy.
yeah. What are the key challenges with interoperability, and how can I think the key challenges are must be discussed in multiple standard development organizations, ISO, W3C, Open, ID, etc. So that would be I think that's the key challenge to this. Is
Thank
that
you.
there are aspects of it that belong in different places, and you need to have liaison relationships with people working in all of them. Should international standards delve into specific technical architectures, protocols, or should they define interoperability principles? So Q3, ISO equals principles. Other SDOs equal.
This is perfect. We're getting some feedback anyways. It's all good.
I think this is actually this was an objection to doing this in ISO, was because all of these things happen somewhere else, but that doesn't stop us from doing it in ISO, where the principles have to tie back to a framework.
Yeah, okay.
Are sufficiently comprehensive.
If some need more of a discussion, then
Well, I mean, you're just getting my opinion on these things, but
That's fine.
they are things that I've considered. So,
well, that's perfect. Just remember to scan you in as well before you leave.
It's more, I think, so you know how many people.
Yeah, which is
Which we know.
Okay, so I'd say there's three things. One, we take an iterative approach. You get something working in one region, and then you develop it out further. Second part is that if regulators and civil society are incorporated in the standards development like they are in some other multi-stakeholder environments, then you'll get better standards. That's not as much the case here as in other places. This is in internet governance, you would see these types of people. I think that you need to do the same for here. And then finally, working code. I don't know if you can read that, but people need to build things. Okay. Q5. Industry consortia, standards bodies, regulatory agencies. So I think, okay, so we're getting to what I said in the previous one. Maintaining technical guidelines for helping collaboration between these stakeholders be effectively coordinated. Wow. Well, what I'm seeing in this, what I'm seeing right now, which is sort of the anti-pattern, what I see is that industry consortia for this seems to be driven by the people who want to get paid for certifying these solutions. The standards bodies are, I don't know, they're doing work, but it's being driven by this industry
By the
consortia.
industry.
The regulatory agencies are not doing, what they are doing is they're just talking at people. They're not collaborating at all. They're not participating in these standards developments. They're just basically saying, this is what our laws will be, this is how we will punish you, et cetera, et cetera. This is not a conversation, this is one way. And that means that it benefits the industry consortia who are driving the standards to just be doing advocacy to these people. And it's not the collaborative, multi-stakeholder thing that you want. So, I mean, the answer to Q5 is just a true multi-stakeholder model, but I don't know, Q5.
Yep.
True multi.
Oh, this thing keeps on it right now. Oh, it's so heavy.
Compare that to the IGF.
Okay.
Q6. Should international standards for age assurance include prescriptive guidelines for implementation, deployment of age verification technique, or should they prioritize building flexible frameworks and
Best practice.
Q6 both?
Yeah,
No.
I was going to say, I think we need,
No.
you can't split them, can you?
Equally important.
Yeah.
I mean, you need flexible frameworks and best
Yes.
practices, but unless somebody's actually building the things, it's kind of pointless.
Well, absolutely.
And if everybody's implementing them without the flexible frameworks and best practices, then you have a bunch of proprietary, non-interoperable solutions, which is a sort of a brittle situation. Okay, how could international standards address the evolving landscape of age verification technologies and emerging use cases? Q7. Regulators should be aware of frameworks. Definitions and base regulations on that. So instead of the thing we have now where some regulator has an idea and then says this is what it shall be, they need to have a better understanding of what exists, what is possible, and how we can work together.
Yeah.
I see a tiny amount of that, but really, no.
It's not enough. Maybe.
No, not remotely. What mechanisms should be put in place to facilitate the adoption and compliance of interoperability standards for insurance? How can industry education programs support this process?
Oh, we've got some people joined.
Oh.
Hello, David and Henny.
Hi there. Hello.
Hi. You can hear us, can you?
I can. Yeah, I've just joined, so I haven't heard anything yet, but I can hear your voice.
Yes. Obviously, we've had a set of questions here to sort of discuss interoperability and technical architecture in part 3. I have Mark here. Would you like to introduce yourself, Mark?
Hi, I'm Mark. Everyone calls me Mark SV. I'm from Microsoft, and I'm in the International Standards Group. And one of the things I work on is 27566 series, which is a 3-part series of ISO standards, which will define concepts and frameworks, that's part 1, benchmarking, that's part 2, and interoperability, which is part 3, for age assurance systems. So if you're thinking about, well, what is age verification compared to age assurance compared to age estimation? Well, that's part 1. If you're wondering about how do I benchmark facial estimation systems and how is that compared to, say, a NIST standard that exists, that would be part 2. And how do we, what is the process over time to develop interoperable systems based on whatever set of technologies, digital wallets, and verifiable claims or other technology things, that would be part 3. And that's what I do.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Mark, was it the first question that obviously, is that a bit of a meat on the bone sort of question that might be a good opportunity
perhaps,
to discuss with the group?
Okay. So do people have visibility to this piece of paper?
No, I'm afraid they don't.
Okay. So there's a handout here in the room, and it's meant to frame the discussion. And it starts with Part 3 of ISO IEC 27566, that's the 3-part thing I was talking about, is intended to cover interoperability, technical architecture, and guidelines for use. Throughout the commenting phase of parts 1 and 2, considerable amounts of material have been provided which could form useful content for part 3. However, consideration needs to be given between providing helpful material and being too prescriptive, and thus constraining innovation and creativity. And that comment is really applicable to part 1, the framework and concepts, which, because part 3 didn't exist yet, people were trying to be very prescriptive and say the architecture shall be this, and this is the relationship to identity technology and things like that. And so much of that has been pulled out to part 3. And so the first question is, and we're keen to hear your opinions on this, how should international standards for age assurance strike a balance between providing a high-level framework and offering detailed guidance on interoperability, technical architecture, and usage guidelines to accommodate diverse implementation scenarios? I know that's a mouthful, and you don't have the text in front of you. So, really, how familiar are you with international standards in general?
Is there no volume?
Yeah, we can't hear you yet. Sorry.
So was this directed at me?
Yeah, David and
Honey?
Sure. Is there anybody in the room with you as well?
Yes. Mark is here, and I'm Victoria Gale. I work for ACCS.
There was a bit of problems with the scheduling, and so some of the people who were here have already left. It was kind of a snafu, but we're in the room now.
Yeah. So I'm here as much as anything to understand what the current. I was in listening mode rather than participating mode. So
That's fine.
I'm interested in the topics you're discussing, but I'm certainly not. I'm not the expert. I work for a company called Idemia, and we provide facial recognition technologies. We have age. Well, I was interested in your 3 definitions. So we obviously have age validation in terms of traditional methods. We have age estimation. I think your 3rd category was age assurance. Was that?
Well, so you could think of it as you could verify things against a government-issued credential. So if I look at your driving license, there will be a birth date attribute on it, and there will be a photograph of you. And those 2 pieces of information can be compared to you. So I can verify that the age of the person whose license it is based on the birth date. And that I can bind that credential, that I can bind that document to you because I can match the face. So that would be in part, that would be a verification. I'm verifying that the birth date attribute is in line with the age eligibility. But I'm also doing an estimation because I'm comparing your live face to your photo on the thing. So usually that's lumped together and just called verification, but really, I suppose it's really a combination of the 2.
But it's a combination of, well, the estimation piece is entering more into the age estimation piece. I think you're describing, as opposed to the how the extent to which it is matching against the actual person. It's the verification piece. So I assume you're combining an ability to look at age-related features on
Well,
face.
let's think about it like this. I signed up for the Xbox age verifications. That's what they're calling it, the Xbox age verification system. And so I show them my driving license, and they compared my face, my selfie, to my driving license. And my driving license is from 10 years ago and 20 pounds ago. And it said, that's not you, which is wrong. It is me. But their recognition technology didn't recognize that it was me. So
Yeah.
it's that. So, I mean, if you want to call that facial recognition, if you want to call that estimation, I don't know. So I guess you're right. So that's recognition, which would be verification. So you're verifying my face, you're verifying the age attribute on the driving license. So that'd be verification. But if you're someone who walks up to a kiosk and the kiosk says, you appear to be over 25 years old, we would call that estimation. Is that in line with the terms you would use? Did I get that?
Yeah,
right?
no, that's how I would understand it. And then you had a third category in the concept.
Inference. So inference is everything else. If you use a credit card, I can infer that you're probably an adult.
Right.
If I look at your social graph on a social network and I know things about the people that you're linked to, I can infer that you're in a similar cohort to them. So everything else that isn't either verification or estimation is inference. And there's a concept of accumulated assurance or progressive assurance, which is looking at multiple components and trying to generate a higher level of confidence. Age assurance is really just about the risk appetite of the relying party. So do I need something that is strictly verified and identity proofed at some level, or can I just have you walk by a kiosk and decide, good enough, right? So to the extent that you can quantify those things and say there's levels associated, you could say that age assurance is a relying party having a policy and then having confidence that the thing that they get back is within their policy.
So, IDEMIA is, in the world of government biometrics. So we provide biometric technologies for large governments around the world, US, India, UK, and Europe. All the subjects you just described there are all part of the capabilities that we compete on. So as you say, the sort of degradation of the one-to-one matching process over time, is a key measure on the NIST tests that take place. I guess I'm interested to understand that this session is about international standards, and it sounded to me like those standards are at quite an early stage of adoption. So I'm interested to know what the level of maturity is, and I suppose particularly in terms of from a commercial point of view in the private sector, where those standards will be deployed in reality first. I think the UK is quite an interesting market with the online safety bill being passed, but I'm interested to know, before any secondary legislation can be passed, I guess the standards need to be mature. So I was keen to sort of eavesdrop on what the timescales for that would be.
Unfortunately, the standards are not mature. There was a discussion earlier in this session regarding how do you make this whole process more effective. And so having, government standards organizations like BSI or NIST involved in the standards development process means that there's a better chance that when the standards are released, that they have good applicability to, the regulatory environment in various jurisdictions. So having civil society and government regulators be part of the standard development process is really important, especially in a fast-moving area like age assurance, where the regulations are coming very quickly and the lack of standardization is going to be expensive. But specifically to your point, there's a 3 parts. The framework will be very stable by the end of this calendar year. The benchmarking, I'm not really sure. And the interop is only just starting right now. Literally, that is a table of contents, and we're debating what's in the table of contents.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And yeah, so IDEMIA has an interest in this subject. Not me, but we have experts in the organisation. I'd be very happy to promote involvement in the subject. So perhaps I should reach out to you separately, Mark. Might be the.
That would be great.
Thank you very much, all. I do apologise. We will have to close the session. We have another session booked in the room, which is due to commence at 2 o'clock. So thank you very much for your contribution. Apologies, you weren't involved right from the start. Would have made for interesting discussion, I think, David, had you been able to catch up with Mark earlier in the session, but you can meet up afterwards. But thank you all very much.
Thanks for
many thanks. I'll reach out. Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm on LinkedIn.
I'll come and find you.